Last night I slept a good sleep, waking only once for a few minutes. I rose to an absolutely beautiful October day, crisp autumn air and a hint of warmth. I moved quickly to morning chores and was offered breakfast at a neighbor's house, which I accepted. Then more tasks, buying food and petrol and making a few "we shoot looters" signs. That afternoon was hot and dry and windy. The sky above our house had turned into a flyway for helicopters. Dozens of them were hauling buckets of water from Petaluma to fires in 2 locations, including one just to the north of us. I could see fresh plumes of smoke in the hills that looked a little like volcanic eruptions. From what I gather in the news, this was just east of town. And once again, structures were burning. As evening came and the sky darkened, I listened once again to AM radio news. For days now, all the talk has been about increased fire containment, the start of some mop-up, and evacuees allowed back into their neighborhoods. Unfortunately, I have felt none of that. Reading local community posts, it appears there is latent anger. Some say they feel angry at the fire. In short, a different feeling was emerging. I recalled Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's theory about dying, how humans go through 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. I imagine depression will ensue, especially over the dark, wet winter months that will test our mettle as no other event would. I found myself irritated, angry, at the misinformation and mischief that was taking place on Facebook. I posted a plea for people to vet what they repost, beware of spam posts taking advantage of the circumstances, and above all, not to spread rumors. No surprise that this produced some My dear friend Juan Mobili sent a message after one of my posts, and he said, "Something that particularly moved me is that you never judge, question, or blame the fires." I was moved to read such words, but I realized that while I don't judge the fires, I am a harsh judge of humans, primarily for what I would call sins of stupidity. I've found myself seeing Reddit reports of looting in our valley and neighborhood. My rage and concern about this has been so great that today I made up 3 large "we shoot looters" signs, 2 for the front and back gates and a 3rd for the fence. This day was not without wonder. Earlier in the morning, I decided to drive to Homegrown Bagel, buy a bagel and leave a large tip. Stuart Teitelbaum is the owner and a friend of mine. For the last 3 days, he's offered free bagels to anyone who came in and asked. On top of that, he's delivered food to the firefighters as much as he can. While not a bagel eater myself, I've decided to become a customer for life of Homegrown Bagel. I pulled up to the stoplight at 5th Street West in Napa. I was the first vehicle at the light. Across the street, in the Safeway parking lot, were 8 fire engines that more than likely had stopped for food supplies. The lead engine was just edging into traffic at the red light, and it looked like the other engines might want to follow. So I decided to stay in place when the light turned green so they could all depart together. It seems like another civilian saw the same possibility, so he stepped into the intersection to direct traffic and waved at me to stay put. I put on my blinkers to let him know I understood, and he waved. I have considered myself to be a person, a man, who's in touch with my authentic emotions. I cry at parades and symphonies and at my daughter's performances. And here, on a warm October Sunday morning in football weather, I am crying as my own personal parade of fire engines drives past me, each bearing the name of a different town, some from in-state, some from out-of-state, some towns I recognize, and some from unknown places. And I felt this parade was for me alone. In my memory, I see my green plastic army men all lined up in 1965, protecting me from the nuclear war and communists, and I felt the powers that happen when humans line up to do good. Now I understand a little better why I cry at parades.